Christopher Bell comes through again as the entire playoff grid flips in the final stages of this race. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. I'm coming to you from the Xfinity Series garage here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Look at this. Look at all this space I have to just like throw my arms about. Oh. This race energized me, clearly. I don't even know where to start. My head is spinning. I guess we should just begin with the finish, like we always do. Who expected the bottom two seeds in this round of 8, Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bell, to be the ones battling for the win, battling for a spot in the championship 4? I didn't know what to expect from Blaney. He's had one great mile-and-a-half race this year. It was Charlotte. He won it. He was good at Las Vegas last week, finished 6th, then had the DQ scare, but I didn't know if I should believe that. Homestead is its own beast, its own animal. Didn't know what to expect from Blaney, but lo and behold, he was a top 5 car all night long and won a stage. Check that. He was 5 seconds behind Kyle Larson and won the stage. And Christopher Bell, man, he was great at Las Vegas last weekend. Came up just short of advancing to the championship 4 a week ago. But Homestead, again, completely different racetrack than Las Vegas. It's on the opposite coast, effectively. Is Las Vegas on the coast? We always call it, West Coast swing, but it's the desert. Completely different time zones, very different characteristics. And Christopher Bell, despite being a dirt guy, and I know Larson, Reddick are good here, so we assume all dirt guys are good here, Bell has never sounded nearly as confident as Larson or Reddick or many of those other drivers. I don't think he's the biggest fan of this place. And even today's race, he qualified pretty well. He's done that all playoffs. Ran inside the top 10, actually got a couple of stage points. Still lost points to the cut line at the time, but good, okay, good. But then he collapsed in stage 2. I look up and he's running 17th, 18th, 19th. No stage points there. Even at the end of this race, they worked on the car, the track conditions changed. He drove his way back up into the top 10. He got the lead on that amazing 3-wide move on that restart where he dove underneath Hamlin and Blaney. Gets the lead, and then, pit road again plagues Christopher Bell. Remember, he came out 3rd, I think, the final cycle of pit stops before the 25 to go restart. 3rd? This can be tough to pass the leaders. Not for Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell in the clutch. There's no one better in NASCAR today. When he won the Roval in the playoffs last year, elimination race, had to win it. When he won that race, I was like, oh, okay, that was pretty clutch, good job. When he won Martinsville a few weeks later in a must-win scenario to get to the championship 4, I said, whoa, okay, once is a fluke, twice, maybe this is still a coincidence, but I'm starting to believe it. I'm a little superstitious. 3rd time in a row, it's just what he is. He's Mr. October.
Wow, I mean, today was just a whirlwind for sure. To be able, to be able to overcome and to be in that bad of a spot. I mean, I was probably, a quarter straight away from going a lap down. It was just incredible the difference a couple pit stop adjustments will do to your car. And, I've always been one that says that the car is everything. The driver's job is to maximize the car. And if the car's fast, you do good. If the car's slow, you do bad. And I think today was the epitome of that. My car we were really struggling. And I was the slowest car on the track at one point in the race. And then a couple good adjustments later, and we became one of the fastest ones.
Huge congratulations to Christopher Bell in the championship 4 for the 2nd consecutive season. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I'll put the top finishers up right here. I want to talk a little bit more about Ryan Blaney because Ryan Blaney still had a great points day. He earned 18 stage points, finished 2nd, this close to a max points day. He entered this race, minus 17? I didn't think there was any chance he'd be on the other side of that cut line without a win. Lo and behold, I believe he's plus 10. We'll look in a moment. Tyler Reddick came on strong late. Looked to have like an 8th to 10th place car most of the day, but worked his way into the top 5 at the end. Great run for him. 4th, William Byron. He was the top seed entering this round. Doesn't have a win, but a couple of great finishes have him in a very good points position. We'll look in just a moment. AJ Allmendinger with the top 5. Is this 2 straight years he's finished top 5 here? Again, fluke, coincidence? No, this is just starting to be who he is. Maybe Allmendinger's best oval. Kevin Harvick finishes 11th, driving that awesome throwback Budweiser scheme to his 2014 championship that he won on this very racetrack. Solid run for him. He was up in the top 5, mixing it up towards the end. But you can see after the top 4, where are my playoff drivers? Where are they at? Where's Chase Elliott, my playoff car? Now we gotta look at the playoff grid because things have changed. Kyle Larson is still locked in, but he DNF'd today. checkers or wreckers. Larson was once again putting on a clinic how to drive. Homestead-Miami Speedway drove his way up through the top 10, top 5 in the opening stage to win it. Drove out to a big lead in stage 2, and then he looked human. Towards the end of stage 2, I mentioned this, it only took like 10 or 12 laps for Blaney and William Byron to make up like a 5-second deficit and pass Kyle Larson. He fell to third. He looked human. I had to clean my glasses off and make sure I was actually seeing what I was seeing. But that's okay, because in stage 3, the old Kyle Larson returned. He drove his way through the top 5, got to Ryan Blaney, tracking him down for the lead, came onto pit road for their potentially final green flag stop. When suddenly, that's what you could hear over by the entrance to pit road. Kyle Larson into the sand barriers, destroys the front end of his car. He goes to the garage. Y'all heard Kyle Larson's explanation. He admitted that he would need to go back and look at the data because on video it looked bad, but he believed the 12 car maybe slowed down a bit more than is typical. For what it's worth, after the race, Ryan Blaney said that he didn't feel he did anything different there during that stop.
I got hit, Josh said he hit the barrels, so that's all I know. I'm not brake checking the guy, I'm just trying to get to pit road. Yeah. He overshot it and run into me.
Pit road speed here is 45 miles per hour, which actually means you can go 49.99 miles per hour. TV did show that Blaney was going around 47, maybe 48 miles per hour when they got to that yellow line, which, because they typically take the average of that first section, yeah, that was a little low, maybe a couple miles per hour slower than you'd expect. I'm not sure Larson actually overshot pit road. It would have been close. I think it would have absolutely been fairly close. Some fans I've seen are trying to put the blame on Blaney for this incident, and I don't see how you can possibly do that. I mean, you get rear-ended out on the road, it's never the person who got rear-ended's fault. It's this guy's fault. This is a classic case of two different drivers with two completely different agendas. Ryan Blaney, having a fantastic race, knows he can beat Kyle Larson on the long run, is trying to be conservative. A speeding penalty ruins his season. Meanwhile, Kyle Larson, already locked into the next round, can go for it, can be as aggressive as he wants. And Larson historically has been aggressive. See, 1 week ago at Vegas, he nearly threw that race away by getting loose and hitting the outside wall. So you have one driver going all out, another driver being conservative, both doing the right thing. In this case, Larson should be aggressive. He's got nothing to lose. Blaney should be conservative. He has everything to lose. I don't see how you can blame Ryan Blaney. He did exactly what he's supposed to do. Did Larson overcook it? Maybe not, but it's not Ryan Blaney's fault the 5 car barreled on into him. Luckily, it didn't damage Blaney's car too bad. You already saw the results. He was able to go on and finish second. Great points day. And at the end of the day, no harm, no foul really for Larson. He's still moving on to the championship 4. While I'm on the topic of Blaney though, things got a little spicy between him and Denny Hamlin towards the end of this race, because once Larson fell out, you got the feeling that all of a sudden this race was up in the air. Everyone believed they could win it. That's when you saw Bell make that 3-wide move to get the lead. Hamlin and Blaney raced side by side for lap after lap. I was holding my breath, literally, watching these two slide in the corners. Eventually, Hamlin actually came out ahead of Blaney when suddenly the wheel snapped in his hands and he hit the outside wall. Denny Hamlin entered this race, I think, only 2 points to the good. As you can see, he's now virtually in must-win territory heading into Martinsville. How does that happen? Hamlin did earn some stage points. I thought his crew chief, Chris Gabehart, played the perfect strategy in stage 1 and stage 2. He brought Hamlin into pit, smack dab in the center. He split the stage perfectly in half so that Hamlin would have fresher tires than his competition on the back end. And for the most part, it worked out. Look, Denny Hamlin qualified 11th and didn't seem to have a great car early on that could just naturally go forward into the top 5. They had to get creative. They earned some stage points, but not as many as they may have otherwise if they'd qualified up front and been able to stay there. Hamlin did not finish this race. He said afterwards that just something in the steering broke. He doesn't know what it was. Ryan Blaney, though, had some strong words for Hamlin on pit road after the race.
Oh, well, he tried to slide me 2 or 3 times and failed miserably, and then just decided to jump on me. If you're gonna slide somebody, commit. Don't halfway do it and use me up. So what did he say? Hack? And he was that today. So.
Okay. This race was feast or famine for JGR. You've got Christopher Bell winning, making his way into the championship 4, but on the back end, Denny Hamlin crashes out, and then just moments after Hamlin crashes out, his teammate Martin Truex Jr. blows a motor, blows an engine. My gosh. Some of these playoffs have just been bad, like Truex and them have just not shown up. Bad strategy last week by James Small. But a couple of these back-breaking moments, like the fluky flat tire 3 laps into the Kansas race, this today, as far as I can tell, just awful, awful luck. Sometimes it just isn't your year. The ball doesn't bounce your way, but other times like this, the ball bounces and smacks you in the face. You look at the points, Hamlin, Truex, I keep saying, you know, they're in must win at Martinsville. Not necessarily, but it's pretty close. That should be their goal. One playoff driver we have not yet mentioned, honestly probably doesn't even deserve a mention. Did he even race today? Did they even show up? Didn't look like it. Chris Buescher qualified 17th, but in the media center yesterday, he sounded fairly optimistic that they would make the right adjustments and be more competitive in the race. Those changes didn't work at all. Chris Buescher started 17th, dropped like a rock, ran outside the top 20, a lap down for almost the entirety of this event. I don't even know where he finished. I got no internet out here. He might have squeaked out a top 20, but he didn't deserve it. They were terrible today. I'm shocked. I knew coming into this round that mile and a half, for whatever reason, hadn't been Chris Buescher's best style of track this year, but why I was shocked is all year long, when one RFK car is good, usually the other one is right there with them. Like when Chris Buescher won Richmond over the summer, his teammate Brad Keselowski finished 6th. When Chris Buescher won Michigan, his teammate Brad Keselowski was 4th. When Chris Buescher won Daytona a few weeks back, his teammate Brad Keselowski finished 2nd. When one's good, they're both good. Today, Brad Keselowski led laps, spent much of this race inside the top 5. While Chris Buescher, his playoff teammate, was irrelevant. That's what was shocking. He is in a must-win situation going into Martinsville, no doubt there. But he's won at a short track this year, so I mean, they're slumping right now, it feels, but I won't rule Chris Buescher out. He's not dead yet, just on life support. You know, one more thing I wanted to add about Denny, they did have an issue on pit road at the start of stage 2, so you know, he'd made up some of that track position in the first stage, got up to 5th or 6th, fell back outside of the top 10 as a result of, you know, an issue, I think, on the right rear on their pit stop. The lug nut fell off the gun and they had to, you know, pick it up. You know, Velma, where are my glasses? I can't see without my lug nut. Gosh, I really love being able to just like use my hands, just, The sun is setting though, so I should probably begin to wrap this video up. There's one last look at your points. Martinsville is going to be interesting for sure. Lastly, I think we need to put the Forever 400 on the groovy gauge. There we go. Okay, 2 stages in. I'll be honest, I was not loving this race. I really wasn't. The end of stage 2 is interesting, was fun because all of a sudden, again, Kyle Larson looked mortal. It looked like, hey, okay, Byron, Blaney, some of these guys might be able to put up a fight in this final stint. That had me feeling very optimistic. I could not have begun to guess what was going to happen in stage 3. Between Larson hitting the sand barriers, Hamlin hitting the wall, Truex blowing a motor, there was that big crash on the backstretch where JJ Yaley clobbered the inside safer barrier. Keselowski was involved in that. Truex, I think, barely snuck through. I could not have predicted that Christopher Bell would figure it out, get some great restarts, and make a 3-wide pass for the lead in stage 3. I could not have seen that coming. Stage 3 felt like a completely different event than the first 2 stages. I love stage 3. I don't care what anyone says, the finish of a race is the most important section. The finish slapped tonight. So I'm gonna go 82%. It's a very specific number, but it's slightly higher than Las Vegas last week. I really liked Vegas. A lot of folks didn't. Yeah, it was kind of straightforward, but all the playoff guys showed up. It was competitive, multiple lanes. I liked Vegas. I like this, especially stage 3, a little bit more. As you can hear that helicopter, it's right there. Reach out, touch it. I spend way too much time at home. It's fun to come out here and battle the elements. There's been this like swarm of gnats right next to the microphone that keep distracting me. But yes, 82% on the groovy gauge for me. Most of that was stage 3, the first 2 stages. You know, decent racing, but fairly straightforward, processional, business as usual. And then business picked up, and it picked up big time. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought of today's Forever 400 presented by Mobil 1. I am going to get out of here, or at least, you know, go into the media center and edit this video. But thank you all so much for watching. It was a pleasure meeting so many fans here today. Folks from Miami, folks from, I met a couple of folks from Toronto, Canada. Came all the way down here to Homestead-Miami Speedway. That's awesome, that's great dedication. I met these 2 kids, part of Daniel's Amigos. One of them had gotten a Daniel Suarez cardboard cutout signed by Daniel and Pitbull, and he was just like dragging it around the garage. Like, I thought that was hilarious. It was amazing. Lots of great fans out there. I really appreciate the support. Your support allows me to come to as many races the past few years as I've been able to come to and bring you some of the action in person. I did film an at-track race day vlog. I haven't done one in a while. I'm pretty proud of how this one came out. So you'll see that in the next few days. But thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for the support. I'll catch you later this week. Take it easy, y'all.